Today we're going to take a closer look at this old Ryobi chainsaw that I picked up off Gumtree yesterday for $75. My previous chainsaw, a Husqvarna 268, was tragically crushed in a tree felling incident. So for now, this was all that was available. I'll be showing you the original Gumtree ad, and I'm going to take a look and make sure it's running okay and clean it up and see if it'll cut some wood. I've just had a quick measure. It has a 15-inch bar on it. The bar's been clearly well used, but it does look reasonably straight. This thing is pretty old. I'm yet to confirm how old it really is, but the guy who sold it to me was explaining that here's the oil, the fuel and oil mixed chamber, and the bar oil, and right here there's actually a manual oiler, which I've never used a chainsaw that has a manual oiler, so that'll be an interesting experience. What I'm going to do now is take this saw apart and give it all a really good clean. The guy that I brought it from, he did give me a demo and it was working and running really well, but it just looks like there's quite a few years of build-up of gunk and stuff underneath there. So I'm just going to get the air compressor onto it and give it a really good clean, because if this thing can cut properly, then for the time being I'll be using it as my temporary firewooding saw. Little bit annoying, I've just gone to use my spanner thing to undo these nuts and it's actually the wrong size, which is a shame because this is meant to be like a universal kind of fits all chainsaws. I've got a spare one of these tools, so I'll go and check and see if that's going to fit. I've also just noticed here it says Ryobi Limited Japan, which maybe that's a marketing thing. It'd be pretty cool if this saw was actually made in Japan, because things from Japan from this era were amazing quality. That's a shame. The other one of these I had is actually the exact same size, so that's too big, so we're going to have to just use something else. That's pretty bad. That's pretty gross. Clearly the saw, as in awesome condition as it's in for its age, it obviously hasn't been maintained and cleaned. So we'll fire up the air compressor and get on to cleaning this. As you can see, what I've done is I've hit it with the air compressor and a rag, and I haven't gone 100% to town on getting every last little bit clean, but I've just given it a little polish, just enough to get in there, and that's going to really help the way that the saw runs. I've given this compartment a good clean now with the air compressor, and that's as good as I'm going to get it for now. I've noticed there's one or two little screws missing from the chain brake, kind of inner chamber there, but if it's been running for this long with those screws missing, I'm sure it'll be fine. There's definitely still a little bit of grime in there, but for now that's going to have to do for the pull start. I'm taking a look at the bar here, and I've just noticed a bit of a problem. There is a pretty bad kink in the saw, in the bar there, which is a real shame. You know, it's not the end of the world, but really you shouldn't be using a bar that is bent. It's not good for your chain, and it's not good for your saw, and it's not good for your cutting. So for the purpose of this video, I will be still chucking the bar on and trying to cut some logs, but that's something that's going to have to be replaced. I've had a crude attempt at trying to straighten the bar by hand, purely for the purposes of the video. I just chucked it in the vise and tried to yank it and give it a heave. So we'll see if that improves the situation at all. I'm just going to try and clean this chain up a little with the air compressor, and then I'll give it a sharpen. I've got the saw in the vise and I'm going to give it a sharpen. I've just sharpened up the first side of the chain here, and I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see here, but I have a feeling the file may be one size too big, possibly because it's not exactly leaving that nice hook that you want in the chain tooth. It is there, almost. Alright, I've attempted to give the old chain a sharpen. Not 100% confident. Lastly, I'm going to replace the old fuel. I don't know how old the fuel was previously sitting in there, so it's always good to replace the old fuel. The way that the chain brake is positioned makes it a little awkward to try and pour oil and fuel in here, so I've just made a bit of a mess. I'm just about to empty out the old fuel. I've just emptied out the old fuel, which the previous owner claimed he'd always used 50-1 fuel mix. I'm going to chuck in some of my 25-1 mix that I use on all of my saws. I've set up a little jarrah log here, so let's see how the saw goes cutting through it. Overall, I'm happy with my $75 purchase. It's not cutting 100% straight, but I'd say that's from the bent bar. Thanks, and I hope you enjoyed my first attempt at making a YouTube video.